You got this.
Welcome to the Third Wind channel, where today we're reviewing the 7th episode of the 2nd season of the iCarly Revival series, and let's get straight into it. The name of this episode is I Dragged Him, and let's just take a brief moment to talk about what happens in the episode. We have 3 plots going on, with the main one, I guess, being Carly and Spencer doing an audition for the Great Big Globetrot, and underway they get into some arguments, and there are some parental issues, I could say. Our second plotline involves Millicent in a Model UN competition against a guy called Henry von Bietenmeyer, a guy that's beaten her 4 years in a row, but maybe with Freddie's help she can win this time. Our third and final plotline involves Harper being a stylist for 4 famous drag queens, and we get some fun jokes and some cool dresses in the process. For a 23-minute episode, that's hell of a lot to go through, but let's take a look at how the episode went through the eyes of our characters, starting off with Carly. Carly's new manager, Paul, lands Carly a big audition for a big reality TV show, and she has to choose a partner, and when no one else is available, she chooses none other than Spencer. Freddie brings up the fact that Spencer can get quite bossy and competitive, but Carly has nothing but good things to say about Spencer, saying that he just always wanted to win. As the episode goes on, Carly realizes more and more that Freddie's words might have had more meaning, that Spencer might be a little bossy, and that she has a little bit less say than she thought she had. We even get a little bit more insight into Carly's life with a flashback sequence that took place 2 years before the original series, where we see Carly and Freddie and Spencer playing a board game, and we see how Spencer does kind of take on that bossy role there. When Carly tries to confront Spencer, he overpowers it and continues his somewhat impulsive decision-making, which leads to more and more trouble. However, in typical iCarly fashion, we have at the end a heartfelt talk between Carly and Spencer, where Carly expresses that she wants to be treated as an equal. Even though Carly and Spencer are unsuccessful in their competition, they learn the more valuable lesson about their relationship and are better now.
Is that a flick?
Next, let's hop over to Freddie. So, Freddie doesn't have a huge role in this episode, but he does choose his daughter Millicent over Carly. Freddie helps Millicent with her Model UN competition, and this is the first time maybe we've seen that Millicent truly does appreciate his help and really shows love for her dad. Not only this, but we can see that Freddie thinks really highly of Millicent and knows that she'll destroy Henry if she wants to, but he tries to walk the fine line between having her be nice and having her be very competitive. Similarly to Carly and Spencer, Freddie and Millicent are unsuccessful in winning the competition, but they learn, again, a greater lesson about being yourself, yada yada.
Destroy Gavelmeyer.
Next, let's turn the page to Harper. We already knew that she was a very talented stylist, but we also learn here that she's also a very hard worker. In a short time period when she was asked to change something, she easily does so by making 4 Reese Witherspoon-inspired dresses. While there isn't a real story in Harper's plotline, we still get some fun laughs and fun comments from the drag queens and some really cool design dresses. Now, let's talk a little bit about Millicent. So, Millicent's a very competitive person. Having lost 4 years in a row to this Henry guy must be quite difficult. But even then, she listens to her father when he says, be nice, don't be rude, which I think is a very good trait, being a good listener. Even though Millicent loses her competition, I think she wins over the crowd, and she makes the right people proud.
Choosing one to censure Norway instead. You can't do that. What are you gonna do? Throw smoked salmon on me? Dump a bottle of Voss water on my head?
Lastly, let's talk about Spencer. So, Spencer chases excitement. This is something I've noticed. So, he naturally is very excited about this new opportunity with the audition. However, Spencer has never been bossy. Going back to the original and the revival, he just isn't a bossy person. So that took me aback a little bit in this episode, because in the original series, he was like the most chill parent ever. But moving past that, I love seeing Spencer's competitive drive and his passion for what he was doing, as well as wanting his sister to succeed. In the end, we get an amazing heart-filled moment between Spencer and Carly. I love moments like this. And also, we find out that Spencer has auditioned for Naked and Afraid.
Are you there?
What is it?
Tell my story. Make it sound cooler.
That's our characters done, so let's talk about some Easter eggs like we do every episode review. This time around, it's not too many, but there are some interesting things to talk about. Of course, there is mention of Ridgeway, the original school, and how they have a Model UN competition. It's a small Easter egg, but it is again a mention of the original school we see in the original series. The only other real Easter egg we get, which isn't really an Easter egg, is the flashback sequences where we see a Carly, a Freddie, a Spencer 2 years before the original even aired. We don't see Sam there, but it is kind of similar to the flashbacks we saw in the original series with Sam and Carly. Now, with Easter eggs out of the way, I want to talk about a highlighted scene from this episode that I enjoyed the most. In the penultimate scene of this episode, scene 12, we see Carly admitting to Spencer that you were always my hero growing up, but I want to be your equal now. And we see this really heartfelt conversation between the two. Take a look in this clip I have for you guys.
No, doofus. I've been trying to talk to you all day. I love you, but when we play games together now, I want to be treated like an equal.
For me, scenes like this embody my favorite parts of this show, and that's when we see characters having heartfelt conversations, some character growth, and some real talk. I don't know, I like that stuff. But now, moving on into the juiciest part of the video, let's talk about some analysis and takeaways, and I guess my thoughts on the episode as well. First of all, just a glaring thing for me in this episode was the flashback sequences. They were used kind of unnecessarily. I don't think they needed to use them. I think they were done kind of lazily. They didn't add much to the episode, so I feel like they could have done these better, and it actually kind of bothered me. Let me know what you guys thought of the flashbacks. Next up, another issue I had with this episode was the way Spencer was portrayed, or at least the way past Spencer was portrayed. How Freddie felt uncomfortable around him at times, and how he was portrayed as bossy. I think that stuff is actually really out of character for Spencer, so I feel like this episode kind of hurts Spencer's continuity in the show. I actually think generally as a whole, Spencer's writing as a character was much better in the original than it has been in the revival. Maybe that's just me, but again, let me know in the comments how you feel about Spencer. Another issue I had with this episode, I know quite a few now, but they pushed 3 plots into the episode and they all felt rushed and they all had this kind of message at the end of them, except I guess Harper's, but it felt like they did a little bit too much. And again, like, I get the drag queen stuff, but like, what did that add to the episode? Like, what was the purpose? I guess it gave Harper something to do, but couldn't they have done this a little bit differently? I don't know. I feel like it was a bit rushed and a bit unnecessary. On the brighter side, I thought this episode had some great spoofs and some fun one-liners and the Reese Witherspoon stuff and the melon hitting Spencer's face. A lot of just fun moments, and the characters seemed a little bit more animated in the scenes. Maybe that was just me as well, but I thought that there was some more action going on. I've seen some comments about people saying maybe Millicent needs to be written off in season 3 because she just doesn't do enough with the plot and she just delivers one-liners and things like that. I guess I want to throw that back at you guys. What do you guys think of Millicent? Do you think she's necessary to the show? Do you think she adds enough? I don't know. I'm kind of divided on it, but I want to hear what you guys think. Speaking of comments, Oscar Neiman has requested me to give a shout out to his aunt Carol because he just started watching iCarly. So big shout out there, and I'm happy that my videos make your day. But now we get to the point of this review where I kind of give my verdict on the episode, and honestly, I think this episode was, yes, like the ultimate filler episode of the season, and probably maybe the worst episode of season 2, but even then, I don't feel like it was horrible. It just could have been done better, and the plot lines were rushed, and I've already talked about all this, and I've had my issues with it, but it's not terrible, you know? It's alright. It's a filler episode, I get it, and I guess I'm okay with it. But alas, this has been the Third Wind channel. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed these reviews, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a Q&A for this episode, so leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll see you tomorrow for that.